So, herzlich willkommen hier aus Unterföhring, der Heimat von meinem Bowling-Shop, zu einer neuen Ausgabe unserer Interviewserie, die wir jetzt schon einige Wochen gemacht haben. Heute haben wir zu Gast Sean Rash. Sean, hi, how are you doing?
Hey, good morning, good afternoon. It's good to see you, good to talk to you. Things are great here at home in the Chicago area.
Okay, so you're in Chicago right now, and because of the Corona situation, what is everything in Chicago? Because in Germany it's pretty much everything closed. They're starting back up slow. How's it in Chicago?
Yeah, where I live, it's pretty much the same thing. The only time we leave the house is to go to the store or go buy a couple, supplies to do some projects around the house. But right now, my wife and two daughters and I have been at home for over a month, and really probably only left the house 10 times, and that's just to go to the store, like I said.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy at the moment. So just I will tell the people something in German right now. Also, der Julian ist wieder da, der wird versuchen, so gut es geht zu übersetzen. Wenn ihr Fragen habt, einfach in den Chat schreiben. So, if you have any questions, just write it in the chat. Und wenn ihr wollt, könnt ihr gerne unseren Kanal abonnieren, die Glocke drücken. Und wenn ihr uns unterstützen wollt, findet ihr im Nachgang unten in der Beschreibung auch eine kleine Notiz und dann könnt ihr das gerne tun. And so I will go up now. We have already the first question from Thomas. Thomas asks something about your move from Brunswick to Global, but we will pick this up later. First of all, Michael is online. Michael Kremer, hi.
My friend Michael, nice to hear from him.
Yeah, a lot of people joining us at the moment, so we would just pick up slowly with everything. And so you're a pro since 2005, right?
Correct. Yeah, I got my card in May of 2005 and pulled the PBA Tour trials that year.
Yeah, and you're one of the few, if not the only one, who won the title in his first year, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely one of the few. Very fortunate to win my rookie season in West Virginia in 2006 to get my exempt status. At the time, it was an exempt tour, so that was a big deal back then. And now that we're an open tour, you don't see rookies winning a whole lot. It's a tough tour. You've got a lot of great players out there, and you got to take advantage of the opportunity when it presents itself.
What did you do before 2005?
Yeah, so I went to school at Wichita State from 2000 to 2005, bowled, amateur stuff, and I didn't turn adult. Over here in the United States, you stay junior pretty much as long as possible, and you don't bowl for any money. So I didn't start bowling for money until December 31st of 2002 is when I got my USBC ABC card at the time then, and started bowling for money. My first event was actually the Masters in 2003, where I finished seventh.
Okay, so you're a bowler pretty much your whole life.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been very fortunate that this has been my career since I got out of school. Thankfully, I have a degree in business management in case anything happens, but very blessed to throw a bowling ball and play this sport for a living.
Yeah, but when you see 2005 to 2012, the PBA was pretty not so good with paying and everything. Was there a big goal for you to? What was the goal? So because when you look back in the 80s or 90s, the money was pretty good for the top players, but your view to in the future wasn't pretty good in this time, right?
Well, I still think the money was okay. I mean, we're not making millions like other professional sports by any means, but I've been able to provide for my family. We have a nice home. We have two kids. We have a lot of stuff, some good cars. It is what it is. The best players in the world still are making great money. I'm very fortunate to have a ball manufacturer sponsor that pays you a stipend, monthly, and that's where you make some of your money, and so is endorsements and everything else. So, like I said, I've been very blessed to play this game or this sport for 15, 16 years now at the highest level, and hopefully can continue to do that for the next 20 to 30 years.
So, what would you tell a 20-year-old guy in Boulder who want to be professional?
Well, no matter who they are or where they live, I would tell them to get their education. It doesn't matter how good they are. Anything can happen to you physically to where you might not be able to throw another ball. Some of the best in our sport ever have been injured and no longer play. I think of Robert Smith, who injured his self.
Yep.
I think of Tommy Jones, who had an injury and was out for a few years. Chris Barnes with his lower back. I've dealt with multiple injuries and thankfully have found a way to stay towards the top of our sport. But at the same time, it's definitely held me back through my career over the last 5 or 6 years.
So, so you would say to a younger guy, okay, do you learn something, and after that, you can go professional and try it.
Yeah, absolutely. Get your education, get your life set. Understand what's going on, um, and have a path, have a plan of what you want to do. Set out some goals, 5-year, 10-year goals. And like I said, that doesn't matter where you live or and what your finances are. Get your life set and straight and understand what's going on before you make this big jump into one of the toughest sports in the world.
Yep. Dann I go to the chat a little bit. Hallo Kurt, hallo Tobi, hallo Heidrun, hallo Alex, Hagen, Carsten, Oliver. Schön. Die Maggie ist auch da. Oh, Maggie ist da. Maggie is there, Sean. You know her, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Sebastian und Thomas, ich werde eure Fragen dann gleich stellen, aber ich fange natürlich mit Crispy an. So Crispy already said 2 weeks ago you will be our guest pretty soon. So he was already, that was before we get in touch. He asked a question. Who's in your opinion the best player technically, and who's the best player outside the PBA?
Ooh, if I want to say best player on tour with all the tricks, that would be Norm Duke and Chris Barnes. Those are two of the best the game's ever seen. They can play straight, they can hook it, they can play front to back, left to right. They know how to manipulate their ball roll and ball speed and all of those things that you need to be one of the best in the game. And they're great spare shooters. If you think of all the best of all time, it's because they're great spare shooters. Currently, and this isn't any shock to anybody, but the best player in the world is Jason Belmonte. He's dominated the majors over the last 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
Some of the other guys that are probably some of the best in the world would be myself, Dominic Barrett, Bill O'Neill, Tommy Jones. Kyle Troop is starting to make a run. Jesper Svensson. Guys that just get overlooked at times because they're just not winning the majors. They're making cuts and everything else. EJ Tackett, another name that comes to mind, and Anthony Simonson, who I think will be the best in the world very soon. Norm Duke, Chris Barnes, for sure, two of the best that's ever played the game.
And what do you think outside of the PBA?
Outside of the PBA, you got to start looking for players in Sweden. They've always had a really good national team.
Yep.
And then you think of Japan, Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, those countries that have a lot of finances behind them and train day in and day out. I don't want to name any names specifically, just don't want to give away who I think's got a lot of talent. But those 5 or 6 countries have some very, very good players and could make it on the PBA Tour if they wanted to pursue that.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And so then I go to Sebastian's question. There was this famous video with the bottle situation with Belmo. Is everything good with Belmo now?
Yeah, we don't talk about that anymore. It is what it is. Jason does what he does for our sport and promotes it the way he promotes it. I do what I can to promote our sport to the best of our abilities. We're two of the faces of the sport. Not just here in the PBA Tour, but around the world. And our job is to continue to promote the sport at the highest level, do the best thing we can, and be great role models.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, it is what it is. So everything is okay. I would hear that. So that's what I hear. So then, that was a question that a lot of people asking, and a pretty surprising move from Brunswick to 900 Global. I think one of the reasons are pretty much the buying from EBI. But do you want to talk about this, or do you want just leave it?
Yeah, no, we can talk about it. It's pretty simple. I just did an interview on Flow Bowling a couple weeks ago, and this is my analogy, and I'll try to put it in terms for the people there in Europe for their sport in soccer, more than bowling. But think of a free agent in soccer or a free agent in any sport when their contract is coming up. Towards the end of their contract, people are going to start talking about, are you going to stay on this team? Are you leaving? Are you retiring? My analogy for here in the United States was Kevin Durant for the Golden State Warriors, played for the Warriors last year, and they kept talking about his contract ending, if he was going to stay on an unbelievable team, or was he going to leave and go make more money, whatever the case is. For me, my contract was coming up at Brunswick last year in 2019. I'm a very loyal person. I didn't start speaking to anybody till later in the year when the tour season was over. I didn't want to have the rumors going, and even though people were trying to make the rumors fly that I was already trying to get out, which was completely false. Once 2019's PBA season was over, I started to ask other companies if I had any value, and very thankful that Global thought I had some value. I still had value at Brunswick as well. I was offering an extension, but at the end of the day, I took both contracts, put it on the table, spoke it over with my wife Sarah and my family, and said, okay, here's the pros and cons of both contracts. What is going to be best for our family moving forward, and the opportunities that lie itself in the future. So, it was a business decision.
Yep.
For my family to depart Brunswick and join the 900 Global team.
Yeah, I think the whole world was pretty surprised that your name come up. So when I heard it the first time, I was like, it was pretty shocking, because I wasn't expecting this. But now you're at 900 Global. You started the first tournament with the balls and won it. I think it was the first tournament, right, that you bowled with the 900 Global balls?
It was actually the second event. The first event was in Dallas, and then our second event was in Shawnee, Oklahoma.
So, and when I heard that you won, and you didn't won for for a while, I think, before that?
Well, I won in August of last year, and I won in February of last year as well. So, I mean, I had probably my second best year on the PBA Tour ever in 2019.
I'm sorry.
Very shocking, of course, to a lot of people around the world. I was one of the faces of the company in Brunswick for a long time, and very proud of that and very happy. But at the same time, I'm one of the faces at 900 Global alongside Chris Barnes and Anthony Lever-Spare and Daria and Chris and Sam Cooley. So, we're a smaller team, but we're worldwide, globally. We've dominated the beginning of the season. Chris and I made 4 shows in a row, back and forth, where he finished third, I won, he finished second, and then I finished fifth. So,
yep.
900 Global was off to a great start in the 2019 season on the PBA Tour.
Yep, it was, and I must say the balls are looking really, really good, especially volatility and Ordnance Pearl, Ordnance Solid. They're looking really, really good on the lanes. Does it affect, or how much did you practice before starting on the PBA Tour with the new equipment?
Yeah, so great question, right? I signed my contract on January 4th or 5th, I believe, and pretty much started throwing the bowling balls that day. In my personal opinion, every company makes great products. You just have to filter through the ones that you're going to like and the ones that you're going to trust, right? So, yep. Doing a conference the other day with Chris and Daria, I don't throw the volatility. It's too strong of a ball for me, and I throw it too hard to where I can't see the shape that my eye likes to see. and those two players love that bowling ball. So, and then I throw the Ordnance Pearl more than Chris and Daria do. So, everyone's got their favorite benchmark ball, strong ASIM, strong symmetric, and lower type bowling ball as well. And you just have to figure out what matches your game with your speed and your rev rate.
So, if you would name three balls now out of the range, what they have now, what do you think? When you have like a strong, medium, and down ball?
Yeah, so my strongest balls that I like to use would be the Honey Badger Extreme Solid and Flux. Those are two of the stronger ones. You start thinking of middle of the range type bowling balls, the Flux Pearl, the Honey Badger White, Badger Claw. Those two kind of in the skid flip motion. Uh, and then towards the lower end, I would say Ordnance Pearl and After Darks
Yeah.
are kind of my two on each side, so to say. Like I said, the volatility is too strong for me, and I'd rather use a Flux or a Honey Badger Extreme Solid.
And yeah, then Crispy asked, did you need to change technique wise to play with the balls? So your ref rate, speed, or did you have to change something, or is it still the same?
No, not at all. My physical game is pretty much the same. I've had to learn the different shapes and different cores and cover combinations, of course, on what we see day in and day out. Every building we go to, whether they're Pro Am or HPLs, uh, you find a ball that matches up to the pattern you're bowling on. Honestly, when we bowl, you get to break down the first game the way you want to see it, whether it's from 5, 10, or 25. And then game two, it's all about who you follow in the transition.
Mm-hmm.
So following some guys that throw it straighter, you're going to be playing straighter and rolling it more. If you're following guys that like to play left and look for that down lane motion, you're going to move in and try to change your tilt and your speeds. So um, you just have a range of bowling balls and go from there.
Yep. So and then Kurt asked a question. How do you handle the PBA Tour life with your family life? So I can imagine that the traveling is pretty annoying for family life because a lot of times out of home and somewhere. And how do you arrange it?
Yeah, no, it's extremely difficult to live on the road for 200 plus days a year. This year is going to be an exception, of course, with what's going on worldwide. But I'm so thankful to have an amazing wife, Sarah, who takes care of my daughters, Kaylee and Olivia, and our third on the way. She, holds the fort down here at home with school and food, cleaning, you name it, she does it.
Yep.
When I'm at home, I try to just do as much as I can without messing up the routine. There's a routine that goes on at home, and very thankful though that every now and then they get to travel to a tournament. Indianapolis or Columbus is within 6 hours of home, where they'll drive over and hang out for a couple days. But it's tough to be on the road. Thankfully with the social media and technology, we can FaceTime each other or screenshot messages, see how the day's going, and send some text messages to each other just to stay in touch. But as a professional athlete in any sport, you have to have a lot of support at home, and we're very, very thankful, and I'm extremely blessed to have some of the best here at home.
Yeah, that's. I think that's very, very important for a professional athlete that at home everything is okay and good, especially the wife support. And I think that's really, really important. So then we mix everything a little bit up because all kind of questions coming in. Michael says sometimes it might be being better on the road.
Yeah, no, sometimes he's completely right. Sometimes it's nice to just be on the road and do your thing, but um, it's not something you want to brag about to your wife that, oh, I get to sleep in today, or hey, I stayed out late last night. It's just you do what you can.
Yep. So EB over time asked a question. What is your favorite team to join in PBA League? What is his guess which team you will get picked?
Well, yeah, I've had an amazing run with the PBA Brooklyn Styles. Very thankful for Johnny Petraglia and all the players that I've bowled with. The PBA draft will be happening over the next 8, 9 days, I would guess. We were told it would happen here at the end of April. Uh, Two new teams coming on board, Milwaukee and Las Vegas. The coaches are Leto Monticelli and Marshall Holman. Uh, my personal opinion and feelings is I would love to bowl for Marshall Holman.
Hmm.
We have very similar personalities and fierce competitors. We've got a great relationship, and nothing against Leto, but I'm hoping to be on Marshall Holman's team.
Okay, which one is Marshall's?
Marshall is going to be the Milwaukee team, I believe. I don't have it in front of me. I'm pretty sure he's the Milwaukee
Okay.
head coach.
I'm pretty sure that a lot of German players, especially, don't know what this PBA League is used for, or why is it, what does it mean. So, because the sports system in Europe is a little bit different than in the States, you have the drafts and everything in the NBA and then NFL and now in the PBA. How does it work?
Yeah, the PBA League is actually very similar to the German league. The only difference is there is a draft, right? We have a list of players. So many players are protected, and then you fill out the rest of your roster. Where in Germany and even in Sweden, you're on the team, and then you kind of wait until your name gets called up to join that team, right? I bowled a German league once with Michael Kramer back in the day. So,
I know you
uh,
play against me.
yeah, I remember. I'm pretty sure I shot 300 too, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but being a part of a team is so special, especially when you get a chance to compete together and see the success and holding each other up. So, the PBA League, though, consists of 10 teams. We compete in Portland, Maine. The PBA League will be in middle of July, hopefully, if everything goes well and it stays on plan. Um, but like I said, it's a lot of fun to be part of a draft and sees people's dreams come true to be part of that.
So you play everything in like one weekend or 1 week, or
Correct. Yeah, everything happens in 1 week, and then the television shows are spread out.
okay. That's so you play like a knockout system or something. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Um, then we go to the next questions. Maximilian, ich habe keine Ahnung, was du da schreiben willst. Es gibt ja von ESPN das Bowling, ich habe keine Ahnung, was du möchtest. Schreib's einfach nochmal. Crispy ask, you are traveling with a mobile home on the tour, is this correct? And
No, 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 no
no?
mobile for me.
Okay. And so you're flying a lot, or?
Yeah, I fly just about everywhere. This was the first year that I drove pretty much the entire time because of how many tournaments we had and the bowling balls we needed. But I drove 10 of the 12 tournaments we had.
Okay. So
I
no
like to
mobile.
fly. I don't like to drive more than 3 or 4 hours if I don't have to.
Yeah, okay. Um, do you enjoy driving a car?
I hate to drive. Everyone knows it. That's why I fly. If I can get there and on a plane, I'm taking a plane.
Okay. So, Selvin Morgan says, Hi Sean, back in the day in England at a particular tournament, we could only use 6 balls that were registered. Would that make the players better using their skill, or worse if they could not change?
Well, the biggest thing when you only have a 6 ball arsenal is making sure you have one, your plastic ball, and then you figure out a range of your benchmark ball. You have a high end asymmetric ball, a low end symmetric ball, and then you fill in the gaps. That way you have top to bottom what you need. So if you have something for long oil or if you have something for short oil, and then you start messing around with surfaces and you start messing around with speeds and everything else. So um, make sure you know what your arsenal is. Hopefully, you can find out what pattern you're going to bowl on, and then take advantage of, um, just seeing what's going on the lanes and your skills, and make your spares.
Okay. Hopefully, Selvin, this answers your question. So then, Maximilian, There was a science video from ESPN back in the day. How does it feel when you are completely with cable and everything, and to know what happens in the body?
Yeah, so it's been 6 years, I think, now since I did the ESPN Sports Science video, where they put everything you can think of on my body to have me throw a shot and see what was going on. The biggest thing I remember from that day was how much pressure I put on my knees every time I was sliding, and it was about 1,600 pounds every time we threw a shot.
Yep.
It measured rev rate and ball speed and uh, height and everything else you could think of. But very special day for me, very exciting opportunity, and hopefully, whether I do it again or someone else in our sport does it again, but a lot of information came out of that video that day.
Do you think this kind of technology will help grow the sport in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that Team USA already uses it there at the ITRC. I know that Kegel Training has some stuff like that, and I'm sure there's some stuff in Europe and some stuff in Asia that help monitor ball speeds and rev rates and everything else. But we're always learning. Technology is always at a fast growing pace, and trying to keep up is tough to do.
Yep. So Michael already just said shooting 300 with an original siege back in the days in the league in Böblingen.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I don't even remember. Thomas said, for the short time with 900 Global, your success and your scores are pretty high, especially Oklahoma Open. This is pretty much the proof that the play is important, not the ball.
Yeah, when I left,
right? Because if you don't have the right ball in the hand, you can't score.
Correct. When I left Brunswick and went to Global, I was told I could win with anything from multiple people. Some talent definitely helps, having some skill and understanding the transitions and taking advantage of the opportunity of that week. When we got to Oklahoma that week, I wasn't 100% positive with what was going on. I didn't know the bowling ball scenario very well, but I strike a lot in that building. So I was very confident going into that week, knowing that I've had some success there. So, and then after practice session, I had 2 or 3 balls on both the short and the long pattern that struck, and I just took advantage of every opportunity that I was given, and it was a lot of fun.
Yep, I can imagine. Maggie asked, do you know if it will get the baby as a girl or a boy?
Yeah, so my wife is due in July with our 3rd child, and we are having another girl. And
so 3 girls, excited. So you have 4 girls then.
Well, 4 if you count my wife, yes. But
yes.
That's
I'm
great. That is for sure.
I know how it is with 2 girls. But now we have the little boys, so it helps. So I'm no more alone. What did Thomas ask? What are you thinking about the two-handed style?
It's different, right? The two-handed style is here. It's not going away. There's only a handful of players that are really good at it, and they have some advantages, just like one-handers have some advantages as well.
Do you think that the rule change that the USBC did help to close the gap with the advantages?
The access hole rule change?
For example, yes.
Yeah, no, I think it will definitely help the traditional players more than the two-handers. I'm not a big scientist by any means, but the two-handers need their bowling ball to slow down more than the traditional bowlers do because their rev rates are higher and their ball speed is higher. So they use those weight holes to help the ball slow down. Mm-hmm. Once they get rid of those weight holes, they're going to have to do it a different way with layouts or with surface. And so I would think the next thing that goes would be how much you can adjust the surface of your bowling ball before or after, before a ball is drilled or before the block.
Do you think this will happen?
Yeah, I think so. I really do think that USBC is going to change that rule. But again, on the PBA Tour, the PBA Tour has their own rules. They do follow USBC guidelines, but it's going to be a matter of time.
Okay, that's interesting. I never imagined this. So Thomas is pretty much putting you putting his questions into the already known things what you think. He asked about what you're thinking about urethane balls. You made a statement a couple of months ago about the urethane balls. And I must say, I'm pretty much on your side on your. Yeah, I hate it.
But yeah, no, everyone knows I'm not a fan. I actually said it after I won there in Oklahoma. It just changes the lane so much. USBC just came out with a release announcement yesterday or the day before about what they thought about the hardness and changing it from 72 to 73. But urethane balls do change over time. They become softer. I never once called a player out or a manufacturer. Everyone thought I was, and I thought people were cheating. That wasn't the case. It's just that there is some advantages of throwing urethane. I'm not good at it. I've admitted that. I've practiced at it. I continue to practice at it. Hopefully we'll get better at it. And, they say practice makes perfect. So I have 4 or 5 urethane balls. I throw them often and quite a bit on tour. Game 1 on, some tough patterns and tough buildings. But, definitely a ball that I'm not a fan of. And
yeah, I understand this completely. Same for me. They just roll like not so good.
Well, I throw it too hard. That's one of the issues. Guys that throw it hard do not throw urethane very often. The only guy I know that throws it hard and likes it is Kyle Troop.
Yeah, and I think also it's with the whole situation with the hardness, they made like a shitstorm on Jacob, and I think that was not the right way to do it, because he's not. Or I don't know what you think about this.
Yeah, no, like I said, I never blamed the player. A lot of people put blame on Jacob. Jacob was given a bowling ball, he drilled it, he threw it, and he beat our brains in with it. He was going to win that week regardless. I don't think it matters. So, but there's definitely, like I said, some advantages to have a ball that's softer and it hooks more. And he took advantage of what he was given. Can't blame a player for that.
Yeah, Kurt ask why you don't like urethane balls, but I think you already answered this with you're thinking they're changing the lanes too fast, and you're not the best in this part of the game, right? So then Marcel says, for him, you're the best player in the world. You are his idol since he started bowling, and you will stay his idol even when you don't throw his favorite brand.
Well, tell him thank you very much. Dankeschön.
That's cool. Patrick, guten Tag. So we need a couple of more questions in the chat. I think the conversation is pretty good. This is a pretty good one. What is your favorite cover stock?
Good question. I'm not a scientist, like I said. I don't pay attention to the numbers, the cores, the covers, any of that stuff. I leave that.
I think he mean more like pearl, hybrid, solid, or I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love pearl-shaped bowling balls. I love the skid flip motion, and if I can get a pearl in my hand, that's what I like.
Okay, that's cool. So, are you retired from Team USA, or do you still want to play Team USA?
Am I retired from Team USA? Yeah. I am currently not a part of the team. I would always love to represent our team if I was asked to be on the team again, but there was some directional change and philosophy thoughts, and I'm no longer a part of that team, but definitely enjoyed my time as part of Team USA. And but at the same time, I love being home the extra couple weeks that I am from not being on that team. So, it's one of those things. There's a catch-22. Do you spend a few more weeks being on the road, being a part of Team USA, or do you spend those weeks at home and enjoy the time at home with the family?
Yeah, I understand this. It's pretty fascinating how important family gets when childs get involved.
Well, I've always said my family's number one before I even had kids. My wife understands the sacrifices that I make, and I understand the sacrifices she makes. But yeah, definitely having kids change the mindset of wanting to be home for sure.
Yep. Kurt ask, when is the next time we will see you in Munich?
Well, that's a good question. Considering none of us are allowed to travel worldwide right now, I don't know when I'll be back in Munich. I would love to come back and bowl the, Euro Challenge. I know it was postponed, hopefully for later this year.
No,
Maybe
it's already declined, or what to say in English. I don't.
yeah, canceled through 21.
Yeah.
So yeah, so maybe in 2021 I'll be back. But a lot of great friends and moments, memories there in Munich. So hopefully I'll be back in 2021. If not, whenever I can get Michael or someone to invite me over to do another clinic, I'll be there.
Yeah, we will think about it and we will talk about it. What do you think about the future with bowling, about Olympic Games? Do you think that you will play an Olympic game in bowling?
If the Olympics were going to happen in 2020 or 2024, then I would definitely try to be a part of Team USA. I'm still under the age of 40 and still one of the best players in the game, so I would definitely try to make that team because of how special the Olympics are. Unfortunately, I don't see bowling getting the Olympics until 2028, maybe even 2032, if we ever get in. We've had some great chances. I thought our best chance was Japan here, with how popular bowling is in Japan. But I do not think I'll ever be a part of the Olympics, at least as a player. Now, in the future, if I decide to do some coaching for Team USA and we get into games, then I would love to be a coach and represent the team that way.
Are you a certified coach?
I don't know what you mean by that because there's so many different certifications, right? So through USBC, I have one certification. Through Kegel, no. Through the World Bowling, no. Through the PBA type coaching, sure. I've been given, or I've been fortunate to be coached by some of the best players in the ever. Gordon Vatican, Mark Lewis, Fred Borden. You start thinking about ball reps with Rick Benoit, Sean Ryan, Jim Callahan, Timmy Mack, Chuck, Billy. I've got plenty of coaching in my background and thoughts.
Who's the ball rep for 900Global at the moment?
So our ball rep for 900Global at the moment right now is Steve Jacobs out of Detroit, right around Detroit. I think he lives just outside of Detroit. But at the same time, we are allowed to work with the ball reps from Storm Rotogrip. So Jim Callahan, Timmy Mack, Sean Ryan, Matt McNeil, and the list goes on.
Did you ever play the Weber Cup?
I did play the Weber Cup once. 3 or 4 years ago, I was lucky enough to be invited to be the captain of the team. It was myself and Marshall, EJ, and Kyle. And we had a lead after a couple days, but unfortunately fell short. And something I would love to be able to be a part of again in the future.
Yeah, because the question from Hagen is how it was with the Weber Cup when you play it. Are you proud of this? And how is the fight USA against Europe?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was a lifetime opportunity that, like I said, I hope I get to be a part of it again. So Europe's got some of the best players in the world, of course. The United States has a bigger pool to choose from. They've won the last couple, and I think they'll win again here coming up.
And do you think the European players, a lot of European players are playing on tour right now? When you see Barrett, Williams, Svensson, and some other guys. Do you think it is because the exemption from the PBA was left and give them a chance, or do you think they would do it anyway?
No, I think they would do it anyway. At some point in your career, no matter where you live, you want to compete against the best, and the best players are on the PBA Tour. So that's why Dom and Stu and Martin, Jesper has become PBA members and travel and compete over here, is they want to bowl against the best players in the world, and the best players in the world are here on the PBA Tour in the United States.
Do you think it is because before like 2005-06 there was the exemption, then they opened it up pretty much, especially for the World Series. Now they close it back down. Do you think it's the right move?
You know, I don't know what's right and what's wrong. I thought the exemption
Or your opinion.
tour was awesome because, you know, you're guaranteed paychecks. You only had to win so many matches to get to television because of the formats and everything else. You know, the open fields, you still see the best and the cream of the PBA rise to the top. You know, closed down again. You know, there's still 40 or 50 players any given week that could find the magic to win.
Yep. What do you think about the thing what Brad and Kyle does with the YouTube thing, and what do you think about this, what they do for bowling?
Yeah, so Brad and Kyle, two of the future PBA stars, right? Young, energetic, filled of charisma, and what they're doing with their YouTube channel and the house and everything else is great information and interaction with our fans around the world. I think sometimes they might get a little bit distracted with it instead of, you know, their performances, but
Yep.
they've done a really good job here this year, bowling extremely well. You know,
Especially
balancing.
Brad, right?
Yeah, Brad's had a great season.
Yep.
Kyle had a better year last year than he did this year. So you got to find a balance when you're starting to do the coaching or the bowling. You know, you got to pick which one you want to do.
Yep. No, say something in German. Patrick, die Frage wurde schon beantwortet. Einfach nochmal das Video von vorne anschauen. So, then I will watch my notes, what I have here. I read that you had like a Junior Olympic Gold Tournament in 2002. What was it? The first thing before the Junior Gold? Is it pretty much the same, or?
Yeah, so in 2002, I won the male Division 4 Junior Gold in Florida. So I was our United States Amateur Junior Champion. I won in Florida and, you know, represented Team USA in 2003 for the junior team.
Then I read, or I know that I think you're still the only guy who played 300 games in TV.
That's somewhat true and somewhat false. So I'm the only PBA player to throw 300 games during PBA Tour title events.
Okay.
Television here in the United States. Ryan Schaefer has thrown 300s as well. Wes Malott has also, and then Chris Barnes has also, one here in the United States and one in Japan on their extra frame flow bowling television show.
Do you think when you're on TV and have like 9 or 10 in a row, do you think about this?
I think after about 6 or 7, you think about it more than anything. This year, scores were extremely high on television, so anything could happen those first 4 or 5 weeks. And there was a 300 game with Tommy Jones there in the championship match, which was a bunch of fun to watch, especially since he went into the Hall of Fame that week.
It's crazy that he didn't get the million.
Yeah, the only week, right? If he would have done it a week later or a couple weeks later.
Million. Do you think it's too high, the million?
I don't think anybody will ever be able to shoot 300 in the title match for the $1 million. It's not going to happen.
Because they're too shaky?
Nerves, the people are going to be talking about it, everything else. It would have to be one of those, they shoot it and then say, hey, look, you won $1 million without them knowing, kind of like what happened with Rhino Page in Japan. When Rhino shot 300 in the Japan Cup back in 2007 or 8, they came out and told him that he had won $100,000, and none of us knew.
Okay. And but back in the days, there were a couple of more prizes for the 300 game or everything, right? There were cars and everything.
Yeah, there's always been some big prizes back in the day. Now it's a $10,000 bonus, unless it's during one of those 4 events for the $1 million.
Mm-hmm. So they in the chat they don't get out of this bottle thing. They are just talking about this bottle thing.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that anymore.
No, we already did. But this thing I've oh no, we don't talk about this. Thomas asked, "What's your technique to calm down when it is important, like 10 frame with 9 in a row, something like this?"
Yeah, so the biggest thing about trying to calm down for any shot, whether it's the first frame, 10th frame, is just go through your process and your routine. You know, try to treat every frame the same and every shot the same. Now, don't get me wrong, your anxiety and your heart rate's going to go up when a shot matters more, whether it's a spare to make to win a match or throwing a strike to shut your opponent out. Things are going to change, but you gotta breathe. You got to focus, you got to stay positive, and go through your process and your routine, like I said, and not try to dictate or make the outcome happen. The outcome will take care of itself.
Mhm. For now, in this situation with the corona, you didn't play now for like 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Will it get hard for you to get back?
Oh, I think for me it'll be very hard to get back into a normal routine. The last time I actually threw a shot was like in the first week of April. I went to the bowling center and threw 10, 15 shots on a strip lane and just threw a plastic ball pretty much down the middle of the lane. So it's been almost a month. Besides the shots I threw on my sidewalk bowling alley that I messed around with my kids, but uh, being a little bit older, having some injuries through the years. I got to start working out once we know when we're going to start competing again. So hopefully, by the end of the month, we'll have an idea of what we're going to bowl next. I think it'll be the PBA League, but my gut down deep says that we're not going to bowl anything till the fall, which is unfortunate. But I think it'll take some time for not just myself, but for everyone to get back into a competitive mind frame and a physical shape.
Do you have an idea now what your training routine will be when you can get back? So
My
your
training,
rhythm, how much you train or what you train.
yeah, my training will be a lot like what I was doing to lose some weight and get back into better shape to start the 2019 season. Get on the elliptical machine, do a bunch of cardio. Try to get the hand in a good place. Probably gonna have to change my fit, my pitches, and everything because everything has shrunk. Um, but realistically, it'll take some time. I'm not a big weight guy. I don't like to lift weights. The only weights that I lift is I'll do some stuff with my kids on my legs and in my arms. So, like I said, I'll do a lot of cardio and try to watch what I'm eating and cut down on the bread, maybe the sugar and whatnot to get into some better fit and feel healthy and get ready to go. Biggest thing is getting my legs back under me.
And on the lane, what will be your plan?
Yeah, for the lane practice, spare shooting. I'll throw a lot of shots at spares. I know how to strike. Got great bowling balls and great products, but the biggest difference on the PBA Tour compared to the next level and the levels after that are the guys that are great spare shooters. I know I've had my miscues on tour where I've missed some spares and lost some matches because of it, but for the most part, I feel like I'm a pretty good spare shooter.
Okay. And I remember when we drilled some balls here in Munich, you had like a semi fingertip ball drilling, and I heard you change to inserts back to inserts to a regular fingertip, or is it still like a semi?
Yeah, it's still somewhat a semi. I think it's been almost 2 years now since I've gone to finger grips. It was June of 2018, I believe. It might have been 17. It feels like forever, but I have a short span. I like to bury my fingers farther than I should, but at the same time, I have issues with my hand and my wrist with the amount of that I like to squeeze. So, like I said before, I'm gonna have to change my pitches and span and everything else once we start bowling again. But semi finger tip, kind of in the middle of those, I guess.
Hmm. And what kind of inserts do you use?
I'm with Vice inserts, so I
Okay.
use Vice.
So you use the ovals, or is it more like a vacuum, or?
Yeah, I use vacuums with the oval. I use the oval grip in the vacuums.
Okay. So Kurt says it's nice to hear that spare shooting is important.
Yeah.
He's also trying pretty hard. Um, so now I have some quick questions. Like it's like 10 quick questions, and maybe you like a short answer. Uh,
Okay.
what is your favorite food?
Favorite food.
Yeah.
Got to go with chicken parmesan with fettuccine alfredo.
What is your favorite beverage?
Favorite. What
Beverage.
kind of beverage?
Whatever you like.
Man, my favorite beverage. I really like a nice glass of wine with a good meal.
That's good. Your biggest win.
Biggest win.
Yeah.
My biggest win would be the 2012 Tournament of Champions that capped off an amazing year, winning Player of the Year that year.
What is your biggest fail?
My biggest fail. Well, I've had plenty of those. One thing that people forget is that you learn from failure more than you do from winning. So, my biggest fail would probably be missing spares on television to lose matches.
Yeah. Then just a quick note. Michael Kramer says Captain Coke.
Captain in Diet Coke now. I'm on to the Diet Coke train.
And Maggie says in a 3-liter bottle. So, another one. If you had $1 billion, what would you do?
I had $1 billion. Well, I would buy my wife a bigger house. We would probably live on a golf course. Would buy a couple of nice cars. I would take care of my parents, my families, or my wife's family. I would invest, and I would continue to compete.
Your idol in the youth.
My idol on the bowling tour.
It doesn't matter.
My idols have always been my parents. To start, mom and dad have done so much for me in my life and my career, and continue to help us even to this day. Now you start talking about sport idols. Growing up, I was a big John Elway and Michael Jordan fan, and now through my teenage years to now, it's been Tiger Woods and LeBron James and Peyton Manning.
Okay. That was the next question. Your idol now. But
Yeah,
you already answered it. So
those
you
couple guys, even though two of them are retired partially, those guys are phenomenal athletes and do a lot for their respective sports on and off the field of play.
Yeah. Your biggest supporter.
My biggest supporter would be
Yeah.
my wife. She's there no matter what. It doesn't matter if I win or lose. She understands the sacrifices that I'm making to provide for the family. But she's definitely my biggest supporter, and besides my kids and my parents.
Okay. Your best buddy on tour.
Best buddy on tour.
Yeah.
For a long time, it was Parker Bone III. We roomed together quite a bit, off and on. He was my mentor, and he's still a mentor and a great friend. Unfortunately, he doesn't compete out there full time anymore, if at all. So right now, it would be Matt Ogle, my doubles partner. We hang out quite a bit. We room together. We travel together, and we've got a great chemistry and great friendship.
Your favorite sport beside bowling.
Favorite sport besides bowling? Favorite sport I like to play now is golf, but love to follow. I'm a big fan of baseball, football, and golf. Those are my three favorite sports, actually. So not just one, but three.
And now the last one from the quick one. What would you do different if you could start your bowling career again?
If I could start my career on the PBA Tour over, I would like to flip it. When I first started on tour, guys that threw it straight dominated. Norm Duke, Walter, Chris, they had a trick, a lot of match play, and they got to follow their transition and made a lot of shows and won a lot of titles. And back when I started, I wasn't very good at going straight. I like to hook it more than most. Wasn't the best of spare shooters when I started on tour, and I waited for the lane to open up to take advantage of my strengths. Now, because of my injuries, I throw it straighter, I roll it more, and I play towards the right. And these guys that have a higher rev rate and bang on it, the two-handers and the EJ Tackets and the younger kids, stand left and take advantage of what I create. So would love to have the rev rate back and all of that, but I've still been able to compete at a very high level and win quite a bit over the last couple of years with the changes of the game.
Okay. So Thomas asks, what's your favorite bowling ball all time and now?
Ooh, favorite ball of all time. God, I got a couple. I don't have one that just sticks out. As a junior player, it was the Red Pulse and a Nighthawk.
Oh, the AMF Nighthawk, right?
Yeah. Shot my first 800 with it. I shot my first 300 with the original Danger Zone. The Red Pulse, shot a couple 300s with that. Had a lot of success with it. When I first started in college was the original Inferno. When I started on tour, it would have been the Inferno, Total Inferno line, through the year, and then the Vapor Zone series, the originals. And since I've switched over to Global, my favorite couple balls are the Flux Solid and Pearl, the White Hot Badger, and the Ordnance Pearl.
What weight do you play?
I'm throwing 15 pounds at the moment.
Yeah. We had this conversation with Chris also because the difference in the two-piece balls in the RG and differentials in 14 and 15 and 16 are pretty crazy. And but I think they changed it now, right?
Yeah, again, couldn't tell you. I put three holes in it, I throw it. I know I won't be throwing 16 pounds anytime soon. If I'm overseas and I need to drill a ball for a specific pattern or day, then so be it, for an exhibition or whatever. But I'm throwing 15 for probably the rest of my career.
Yep.
Maybe 14 once I get a little older.
I don't think so. Then we have I don't know if we got this, but we talk about you have the semi-fingertip ball, like the fingertip, semi-fingertip kind of thing. The reason why you do this, Chris want to know.
Yeah, it was just a feel thing. Growing up in Alaska, I actually had a stretch span and used grips, and I used to squeeze it as much as possible. When I was I'm trying to think of when it was. I was in college, I used grips, and then when I went on tour, well, I think it was in college when I went from grips to to no grips. It was just a feel thing. When you use grips and you miss it, sometimes you don't know. When you don't use grips and you miss it, you definitely know really quick. So it became a feel thing and something just that I got comfortable with. And so I used a semi-tight, finger hole for a long time until just recently when I went to vacuum grips and a couple years ago.
Do you use interchangeable thumbs?
I do not. I use interchangeable. Well, I use the Exacticator molds.
Okay. So this one is a pretty interesting question, and I think this will be pretty much the last one, just when somebody comes in. But now Marcel says, what is your opinion on the new scoring system? Because spare shooting is getting not so important anymore because of that.
Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of the new scoring system. We used it in Kuwait during the Kuwait Open and the World Bowling Finals.
Where the scores get ridiculous, right?
Yeah, scores get extremely high. Spare shooting doesn't become as important. You can miss a spare and catch up a lot faster than before based off of strikes. So it's got its pros where you're trying to teach people how to add, make it faster and quicker, but at the same time, it does have its cons.
Okay. Yeah, I see it the same way pretty much because I don't think that bowling as a sport needs a different scoring. We just need explanation.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like formats, right? You can have different types of formats and different types of scoring and everything else, but end of the day, we need to keep things simple and basic. Golf has their scoring system, and then they have different formats where they have some elimination type events. So trying to confuse people with too many things definitely can hurt. But
yeah, I see it the same way. Michael says because of the free leaderboard, he's just kidding. You live healthy.
I wish I lived healthy, but I do my best to eat the best I can when I'm traveling, for sure.
But actually, we don't see each other a long time now, and you look pretty good.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I've lost some kilos, as you guys would say.
Yeah.
Definitely have toned up a little bit by doing the cardio work and whatnot, but with staying home over the last month and this thing that's going on around the world, I've actually put a few pounds back on. But getting rid of the sugar from the Coke to Diet Coke has helped significantly. I drink a protein drink during the day now. Not really a protein drink, but a better, healthier drink.
Yep.
And it helps. A lot more water, for sure.
So I have two more questions now.
Okay.
Hagen asks, what is the biggest difference between a PBA oil pattern and a European Tour oil pattern, for example, for you?
Well, there's not really the difference between the patterns. So to say, it's more of who's bowling on them. Here on the PBA, you get the best players in the world, and the transition is a lot faster, higher rev rates, and everything else. On the European Tour, you don't have the best in the world because only so many players from Europe bowl on the PBA Tour, and it's no disrespect to the Europeans. It's just the fact of how they play the lanes. They play them straighter. The rev rates aren't as high, and if you would notice, or if you have noticed, they actually have used a lot of the PBA patterns over the last probably decade or very similar to them. But again, it's more of the players that play on the PBA Tour versus the European Tour.
Yep. And there's Kurt says, what do you think professional players have been, what is their, well, I don't know the English. That's funny. Do you think professionals have input on bowling? On the how bowling moves on?
There is a PBA Players Committee. They definitely have a voice to the PBA chain of command on what they would like to see.
Influence was the word.
Yeah, I see it there. End of the day, the PBA dictates what lane patterns we're using, the crosses we have during the week, the formats and everything else. But they do reach out to the PBA Player Committee and ask for some advice on events and formats and prize structures and everything else. But again, we're players. Our job is to go out there and play at the highest level, and hopefully at the end of the day or week we pick up the check and trophy.
Yeah, I think that the change to Fox Sports was also pretty good.
Yeah, the change to Fox has been great. A lot of momentum last year, our first year. And a lot of great content here year two to start until this pandemic happened.
Yeah, and also I think the PBA now is on a really good way to create worldwide stars.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's definitely already been stars around the world, but you don't see those stars unless you see them on the PBA Tour. You just hear of some great players, and like I said earlier in this. If you're a great player in one of your respected countries, but not bowling full time on the PBA Tour, you're a big fish in a little pond.
Yep.
And then once you come over to the PBA Tour and you become a star, then you're the big fish in the big pond.
Yep. So, I will say the people something in German. So, liebe Leute, jetzt haben wir noch zwischendrin ein kleines Gewinnspiel für den Sonntag. Am Sonntag haben wir wieder einen hervorragenden Gast. Was ich euch als Tipp geben kann, er ist einer der besten Spieler in Europa und er wird unser Gast sein. Wer in den Kommentaren den richtigen Namen errät. Ihr habt bis morgen Mittag Zeit. Bis Samstag 12 Uhr habt ihr Zeit, den richtigen Namen unten reinzuschreiben in die Kommentare im Anschluss, wenn das Video hochgeladen ist. Und dann wird ein Gewinner gelost. Also abonniert den Kanal, drückt die Glocke, schreibt einen Kommentar unter dieses Video, liken nicht vergessen. Und dann losen wir einen Gewinner aus und der wird einen schönen Preis von uns bekommen. Und ja. I was just saying that I made a promotion for the Sunday stream. We will have a stream on Sunday with another guest. He's one of the best European players. I don't say the name because they have to say the name in the comments and not in the chat now, in the comments when this video is uploaded. And they get a prize then, and we will see if they figure it out. It will be surprising.
Well, I have a guess. I do not know who it is, but if you're talking about a European star,
you can have one guess. I will write it down for you on the comments. Maybe you win.
Let's see here. Where do they live?
I don't say. Then it's obvious. It's a European guy, and I think he's minimum top 15 in Europe. Minimum. If not
But he
better.
doesn't hold the PBA Tour?
Yes, he do. That's it. More I cannot say, because then it's getting too easy.
Yeah. All right, one last question. Right-handed or left-handed?
No comment.
I'm going to go with Jesper Svensson.
You go with Jesper? Okay. I will write down Jesper, and if you win, you're in. So, I see no more questions. So, Marius, you must write it in the comments when this video is online. I think you see the question 7. Do you find time to have fun even when everyone is ultra serious while bowling?
Yeah, no, I have a lot of fun with our bowling. When I'm home, I bowl a league with my wife and some of our closest friends on Tuesday nights. So that is my opportunity to enjoy our sport, relax a little bit. Still very competitive where we want to win, of course, but that's where it all started for me back in the day, was just bowling league with my parents and family and friends and enjoying the game. So there's definitely plenty of time for me to have some fun while we compete.
Thank you. Do you want to tell the people something for the end?
Yeah, no, for sure, absolutely. Just want to first of all say thank you to you, Manuel, to letting me join you today on this chat. It's always a pleasure to see you and speak with you, and definitely miss all of my friends there in Munich and of course in Europe, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bowling will be back just like everything else. Normal life will be somewhat normal. There's definitely a lot of changes that are going to be coming our way in our sport and worldwide, but once they're over, we'll get back on the lanes and start competing on the PBA Tour and on television. I have 3 different social media platforms with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If they'd like to send me some messages and comments, I'd love to hear from them.
If you want,
for joining us today, and I look forward to hearing from you all soon.
If you want, we can link your social media links in our description. So
Okay.
just send it with me afterwards with Skype or something, and then I'll put it into the description, and the people can get in touch with you.
Not a problem.
So, Julian just he will do it. So you don't have to send me something. Julian will do it.
All right.
So, Sean, I really, really appreciate it, and that you have time for us in these hard times. And I think it's a really, really good thing that players like you, Chris, Daria, taking time to be in the base of bowling, with our chat, with our stream, because that's what we want to do, to get people the chance to talk to you guys that not a lot of players have contact to. And I really appreciate your time, and I hope we see us soon. We're live, and I wish you all the luck with your daughter and that is coming, and healthy with your family. Yeah, that's it pretty much.
Like I said, I appreciate you having me on today, and God bless you and your family as well, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.
So, abonnieren nicht vergessen, liebe Leute, Glocke drücken. Wenn ihr uns unterstützen wollt, findet ihr einen Link unten. Ich sage vielen Dank und ciao.